Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Art Chat. Today we are joined by dear friend Tyler Edlin. Here he is. How you doing, Tyler?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no worries. How you been?
Holding up in quarantine with the toddler.
Oh yeah, I know exactly how
So
that feels.
I'm very envious of people that do not have young kids right now, as you guys can probably hear both the dog and the toddler are going.
It's all right. Mine'll come in at some point too as well, probably.
I know. I find
No,
myself
we're all
staying up
good.
later and later to like hide in the just the quietness, like when they're all in bed, and
Me too.
because I do a lot of recording like you, and it's impossible to get clean audio anytime during the day. It's insanely frustrating.
Yeah, so that's actually my plan for tonight is to sit down and record some stuff, and it'll be after everyone's asleep.
Yes. Awesome. So you're working on your course, right?
I am. It's a 12-week landscape painting course. It's got about 30 hours of content between the lessons and feedback. So that's probably one of my favorite things is I'll be able to give feedback to the people involved. And
Awesome.
I always wish I had that when I was starting out.
And it's affordable, which like art school, I'm paying debt. I've been paying debt from my art training for the last 15 years. Yeah, the years start to slip, but I'm still coughing up large wads of money paying for that traditional art school education that I thought was the only path, or of course almost 20 years ago was a lot different of a story.
Well, tell us about it. So how'd you get into this?
Well, I went to a local art school.
Okay.
And it was private. Well, it wasn't even an art school. It was just like a regular kind of college, but they had an art program. They had a whole art building. I thought it was legit, but it was run by a lady that she was in her 70s. The art director, she was old. She was very old fashioned. And she was coming from a school of thought and ways of training and doing things that are just a little more toward 100% fine art and 100% of like how they did things in the 50s or 60s when she was much younger.
So very, very illustration.
No, like just straight up fine art. They had like, this is how you paint, this is how you paint on site. We different classes, because there'd be different teachers and different programs. Like they had art history, they had oil painting, they had watercolor classes, they had multiple drawing. I guess my training wheels in regards to art through that.
Okay.
So it's just like we draw charcoal still lifes. We learn the fundamentals of design going through these book and doing these excerpts. It's like a workbook. It was really cool. They had basic photography courses, which of course teaches you, the fundamentals of any kind of composition. There was no figure drawing because it was a religious school too. And so they weren't letting live nudes in there to do the figure. They'd pay like students $20. They just do it clothed. So that's what we had to work with. Oddly enough, I'm not good at figures or clothing with that training. So
let's have a little look into your art as you keep talking about it. Let's see. Bam! There we go. We got some of your art.
Thank you.
You say you're not good at figures and clothing, but
I've been working today. I'm doing fan art for a game, so I'm doing two things I never do: one, fan art, and two, characters. And I'm going to go post it publicly for those that follow me on Instagram probably tomorrow. So I'm like, my friend Adam, Adam, he put a video. Are you afraid to post your art online? I didn't watch the video yet, but I saw it in my header because he's getting really popular and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's 100% me tomorrow. But I'm going to do it. I'll get like 200 likes at best, I hope, and we'll hope it goes well.
So we actually have a comment here from Jonah Miller. Says, what would you recommend to a kid in high school looking at their future and wanting to do art?
Don't go to art college in the U.S. because they'll break your bank and own you for 20 years like they did me. There's a lot of affordable options out there, like independent artists and creators like Justin and myself that create content. That's one method, right? Just the first one. You can go to a specific artist. If you like their art, if you like their content, they'll provide you a much more affordable experience and a much more one-on-one experience as well. The second major option is to do kind of like the online school approach, which I have to shamelessly plug now, like CGMA, the Computer Graphics Master Academy. They're based out of like Burbank, California, but they have online classes that run 4 times a year and in every subject matter, both 2D and 3D. You can sign up, buy the course. You could take 1 to 2, probably a term. I wouldn't recommend taking more than 2 to a term. And it's like a pay-as-you-go thing. You can just do it when you have money, if you have the money. And, of course, you get the feedback. And I think it's getting that feedback from an expert in that particular field that you're going to grow the most on. Because if I'm doing something on my own, like my whole art career, doing things out of that traditional fine art sort of spectrum, which is like 85% of what I do. I build worlds. I create these fantastical. I had to do a lot of that training myself, and it took for the better part of 10 years to do that. Yes. This is how I light something well, or this is how I make something feel more classy or timeless. Like stuff they just do not teach you in art school that you pay a ton for. And it was through raw, straight up experience and loads of time and lots of mistakes. But now there's programs and there's artists like Justin, myself, that can teach a specific skill based off what we're really good at. And that's something that just wasn't around, back in the day. And that's probably the most cost-effective method of obtaining a very solid, foundation, for learning. The other options is to straight up go to a specialized school. That's the most expensive option. And you'd have to travel, pay for travel, pay for board, things like Brainstorm School, again, out of California, things like the FCD. Which is constantly evolving because they kind of fell into a little bit of rut from what I hear. And a lot of my clients, a lot of the students I teach are former FCD students. So I kind of get a little bit of the wind that kind of comes through what's going on over there. And they're revamping their program and stuff. And of course, Fang has always produced really great design content anyway, but that is an option, a very expensive option, but it's there.
Very true. So what kind of work are you doing at the moment? What's your bread and butter?
Oh, basically that stuff that you can probably see on screen. I'm just taking a break, I think because the coronavirus comes in. I was working all the way up to the first of the year, up to this on a game project, doing game art assets, basically visual development stuff, defining the look and feel of a particular game. It's like a mid-level game. It's not AAA. It's not indie. I do a lot of work because they tend to. Like what my rates are versus their flexibility in regards to I'm a little slower because of my schedule and all the craziness there. So it's like a compromise. I fall really well into that middle of the road sort of game development. So I do a lot of projects at that size and scale. But of course, because of the virus, they're like, okay, we have to go back and we're going to take a break from this for a couple months. We'll hit you back up later in the year. So I'm coming off that as of this week. And this week also we're starting a new term at CGMA. So it's like just it's switching trains
from one to another.
Yeah. Just switching trains. And of course I'm staying up really late developing my how to design a picture mini course, which my goal is, at first it's a course I'm kind of trial. I'm running it through to see how the patrons like it. But then I want to run like a 4-week, very affordable program to like hit just really hit that beginner level people that know nothing about just composition, to kind of show them how to practice it, how to look and train and basically improve in it.
Yeah.
It's like a quick course.
Right. Yeah. So I was thinking from you're coming in this from a concept art perspective, and all the people I've been talking to have been relatively more on the just creating a picture. You're also trying to create ideas. So I'm curious.
I do 50-50, really about I got the foot in each door on a lot of that.
Yeah, and that was really my question. What's the relationship between them? How has sort of really pushing your ability to develop ideas affected your ability to create images like this?
It makes you think about things slightly differently, and it always comes back to that intention, right? Like, I think you get kids on your end.
My son.
It's not mine, folks. it's like you approach every picture or every idea from a problem solving standpoint.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's now been ingrained into me. So like I try to look at what the outcome, what's the desired look and feel, what am I expecting to get out of a piece, what sort of restraints am I going to put on it. So like, okay, am I going to do this? Is this going to be like a 4-hour image for me, or is this going to be a 20-hour? And I basically start looking at it from a parameter standpoint to kind of see what sort of variables I'm going to work with.
Yeah.
In regards to like, okay, I'm going to use 3D or not use 3D. I'm going to draw it, or I'm just going to flat color it, or heck, my default, my go-to is I like the thing you have up on screen.
Yes.
I love to paint. I'm just like a painter, but unfortunately with a lot of that, to get a really, really good painting, that takes a lot more time. So
Yeah.
a lot of images or products that I end up putting out end up just being very quick, sort of like just spit it out sort of thing. So like the structure is there, but when you look up close, the details are like a little hazy. But that's just the thing that kind of slips a lot of us, is the time. So,
Yeah.
but I do like doing it the most. It's just I kind of have to adapt to fatherhood and of course the busy, insane schedule. And the only thing that really takes a hit on that is my ability to work on long form personal projects and images. So the work I tend to do, I just kind of spit it out and try to get it done within 4 to 6 hours.
But
Other than that,
there's something really good about that. There's something really good about being able to practice like starting something and going through that middle process and finishing it. I've seen a lot of people who only work on big things that will only take them like 40 hours and they never finish. And so they only get to try once starting a thing and finishing a thing. So there's something I found that's been really healthy to me in my practice for trying to do things really quick. And sometimes something comes along that I want to put more time into, but having lots of quick stuff means I get so much more practice at sort of beginning and getting to that middle and the end. I was wondering, could we maybe go through the process of this paint? Could you talk us through?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to kind of ride your thought there, that's the best way to practice and grow as well. Don't just do 20-hour image after 20-hour image, right? Like do the 1 to 2 hour image or study a day, every day. Have an hour or so that if you have the time, set aside for a long form project. So you're putting like an hour or 30 minutes every single day of the week for a longer project that maybe at the end of the month you'll have it completed. And then of course you'll have half a dozen other quicker images that way, because you need that dopamine release. You need that sense of satisfaction. And it is really hard to get that just working on long form images. And you will, you'll probably burn out quicker, and you grow slower too. So really to kind of fluctuate your training, to have 2-hour sessions versus 4, and then of course anything over 10 hours, constantly fluctuate them so that you can increase the your skills.
That's a good point. I definitely do that myself.
So basically that is my value mock-up, right? The standard value sketch. It's very quick, it's very dirty, but it's kind of how I see things in my head at that stage. And I try to sort out most of it there, but of course I'm never one that like I'm going to commit to that 100%.
Right.
Because you spend 3 more hours with an image and you're going to get your train of thought will probably change. And it's about pivoting, those decisions so you can adapt to a new idea, and hopefully it'll really help it out.
It's funny. It's like meeting somebody for the first time, and you make assessments about them instantly, but you spend another 3 hours with them. They're a different person than what you sort of originally thought they were.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just keeping it very simple and straightforward as long as possible. And then I only commit to detail, when I have to. So I think there's even, because that was so quick, there's various photo elements, or I think I used a texture brush, in some of those rocks there. But yeah, very quick and dirty. It was still very chaotic in parts, but I don't think I don't colorize that. I don't think I did. I generally think I just started it almost from scratch. I don't know. Go up a step.
Let's move on.
I started it over. And then
using forgive me if I'm wrong, using some shaped brushes as well.
Yeah, they're just shapes. think I got them from a fella named Sparth. I think they were
Yeah, I
his
got
shape.
some of those too.
And of course, if you use them too much, like it's very evident in that step. It just looks like you did, and it takes a lot of careful blending and kind of massaging that out to kind of make it feel a little bit more natural.
For me, there's always that sense of I want there to be a random pattern, not so that I'm ending with that pattern, but so that my brain can. It's kind of like fodder for my brain to use. Like.
Yeah, you need to piggyback off it because the muscle memory, right? You're going to just make the same type of strokes again and again. There's only so many ways my mind can paint a rock, but if I can look at that, interpret it, right, you can build upon it.
Yeah. That sort of random structures are just amazing for figuring out how to paint things.
Yeah, especially for rocks and things like trees or foliage, just having something to interpret and something abstract even, that's the best way to go.
So we go to this point. You've started to get some shapes and
clean shapes and lighting. I like to nail the lighting in the first hour, preferably. If I can get the lighting working, then I can figure out the rest.
Yes. Yeah. So how much did you clean up these shapes? Let's have a look.
A lot. I don't know if that's just a canvas flip. No, I don't know if it is. I just
I think it might be.
Yeah, it might be. I should.
But at this point, you've removed a lot of detail.
A lot of that's what it is, because you look at it and it's like it's too busy. And then I think there's something here I may have even lost, right? When you add too much detail, which is a line I used to cross a lot more, you can start to muddy up your idea.
How do you practice that? How do you get good at that?
Running filters on your image, or because nowadays, like I think that was done 3 years, maybe 4 years ago, because I think I did it before ArtStation was a thing. But you have to. I send every image. My wife gets annoyed because I want to see how it's going to look really well on my phone or even Instagram. And the easiest way, if I'm on my computer, I could just drop images to Messenger and stuff. So I relay everything, grab Messenger on my phone, and I'm constantly like, okay, how does my image look on my phone screen, on the size of my phone?
Yeah.
And that's the ultimate check, because 95% of people that see your work will first see it, that big on a phone. They're going to see it on Instagram. They're going to see it, on ArtStation or wherever, Facebook even. And it's got to work really, really good, really small. And that's just a great way to, when you hold it out to here, you could start to see where the problems are.
Yes, definitely. So we come on here to the next stage. What is it you've done?
Building form. You could see I simplified a lot of the shape tool.
Yeah.
Right. So I actually put I overcomplicated the heck out of the planes up top. I actually like it in step 2 better. And then I started adding movement with like the little gusts of cloud.
Yeah, that's this cloud. I love it.
And with the airship kind of coming up. So I'm trying to simplify a lot and create a very kind of, because this is up in the atmosphere. It's very, very thick layers of air. So I can get away with obscuring loads of detail, and that's basically what I was trying to do here. And I want just a little bit of that sun peeking up at the top.
Yeah.
The connoisseur lighting. So it's just we're facing into the light, and that means most everything is silhouetted. And so I'm kind of trying to play off that.
I love it.
Thank you.
And then we move on in, and you've done a lot of now you started the detail.
Yeah, you can see it. It does jump because like the brush strokes, the brush work is a lot tinier, a little more refined. But yeah, I think some of the earlier clouds were like a little bit better. I think I got a little too yellow in there at the end, but yeah, hindsight's everything.
It is, isn't it?
That's one thing. Some nights, honestly, what I do, I get real with it. I have a couple drinks. I go to ArtStation and I start deleting the heck out of my old images because I'm like, it's gotta go. And I think that's like somewhere a lot of people, myself, we put our art on a pedestal. We get close to it, right? It is very personal.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be objective about it a lot. So unless we have some sort of buddy system or, some sort of, friend network that can be brutally honest with it.
And do you?
Yeah, I not as big as I want. It's like there's a limited pool of people that I feel like that comfortable just tossing my work to and be like, what sucks about it? But
I do that. I have at least one person that I pretty consistently send.
That's good.
Actually, it's Sarah Finnegan who I was talking to yesterday.
Yes, I saw your thing, your advertisement for that. I got to want, but that's a good thing. You need, and I think in regards to students and professionals, you need people that are like right on your skill level or very
Yeah.
comparable skill level for you. Even if you're a student, other students will help you because you'll both grow from that. And it because if you ask like the wrong professional, they'll just grill it and they'll get nitty gritty. Because like I'm a
Right. That's a good point.
over the years I've become a bit of a compositional snob, and I know it, so I try to like be a little more forgiving when I'm looking at students work for that, because like, oh, there's a little tangent there, and my stuff isn't perfect. I'm only getting better at it, but it's just something, taking so many photography classes, painting class, I've just like I've become a stickler for composition in some instance. So I can overly focus on that, when the biggest thing I've learned is that there's no right composition, and it's always the what's best served for your image, and
So there's no right composition, but apparently there's a wrong composition.
Well, as I word it, yeah, as I and I've been working on this, it's like, that's not wrong, but I think there's a potentially better solution.
Right. So it's constantly honing in. What are maybe some of the main principles that have helped you start to hone in on greater?
Oh God, simplicity. So like, see, there is still something on that first step there that is just like, I wish I still had in my final one.
Gotcha.
You know?
Yeah.
Things tighten up with detail, and it's just like, whew. But I also do have, even with newer images, I have loads of my process broken down too. If you had any other questions, while you got me here today about any, I try to include my process, because that's what I'm interested in too. Like when I look at a piece of art, an ArtStation, I want to click in. I'm more fascinated by the journey of how an artist got there.
Yeah.
More so than the final result. And it honestly kind of, it ticks me off when I clicking all these gorgeous images and people are just so stingy with how they got there. It's like, I want to see it. So, but that's what you do. You post the work you want to see, or you do things that you would want to see, and hope other people would be interested in it as well. So I'm like, okay, I want to see process. So I think someone else out there will like to see process. So I post as much process as I can.
That is very true. Very true. I should do more of that. Yeah, I'm loving all these pieces. What are the themes that in your own personal work you feel like you keep coming back to?
Oh, it's escapism.
Okay.
and it's I want to say like exploration, or the sense of adventure.
Yes.
I love all forms of art. I love the dark stuff. I like the gritty stuff, the scary stuff, I love figurative stuff, but I guess my go-to by default, like if I'm going to sit down, and most of the time it's like, I want to create a picture that captures a sense of adventure. I'm not like a specific sense, adventure, but like just kind of, motivates your mind at least to take a journey through it.
And is that's something that's present in your art? Is that also present in the rest of your life?
It was before I had kids and I could afford vacations. I loved it, traveling and trying some stuff, and didn't do nearly as much, but as I wanted to. Hopefully that'll come back around. But I'm
hoping that'll come back around for me too.
and I always part of that for me, it's all intertwined with my passion for gaming and video games. I love role-playing games and adventure stuff, and I love games that don't focus on puzzles or so much fighting, but just give you a beautiful world with interesting people, characters, and locations to talk to. And because like I'm not much of a reader, I never will sit down and just read a novel. It's like I'm a terrible person, but I rather just like I rather like sit down and go for a ride, kind of through a journey, and almost kind of get spoon-fed little bits of information that I can build upon.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that there's all of the landscape artists that I talk to, or the people who are interested in environments, there's kind of some really core themes. And I don't just mean the environment, I mean the feelings behind it, that sense of awe and wonder and adventure and escapism. Huge
Yeah, it's just like I want to paint a place that A, I'm not at that I'm not physically at, and B, that is just like a little bit more of a romanticized version of probably how it would look in reality.
Yes.
Where you can massage out the little shapes and just make everything kind of flow, in a very kind of harmonious way and things like that. You make mountains taller, you make the lighting a little bit more delicate and serene, and it's just an interpretation of it.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to try and get this question to come out right. What are the things, the qualities in art that you can basically just push and keep pushing forever? And what are the qualities in art that when we're talking about doing things like this, you have to leave them be? Like,
I guess details. You mean like I'm not sure if I 100% understood your question, but you're talking about like structurally some or more like thematic things.
Sure. I mean, I think I mean structurally when we're talking about building a painting, something
Okay.
like pushing the color, or obviously anatomy is something that you
Yes.
push with caution, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, like that's the thing, right? Once you know it, you can push it or break it successfully. So I've been trying to control my saturation. I went through
Okay. Yeah.
phases, 6, 7 years. Like I call it my Ghibli phase or Ghibli phase. I just love the work from the movies in the studio, but they're like super intense. Like they're immensely saturated and almost to a fault, because like if you look at it in the wrong, like if you turn too quick and you look at it, it's like wow, you get smacked in the color. So a lot of my paintings just were glowing with that color, which isn't bad, but I've tried to take a little bit more of a subtle approach with those nowadays. So I'll try to play up or build a painting with a lot more of a neutral foundation of like a lot of I've been doing more, I guess, overcast or more.
Yeah.
Just I'm trying to use colors that aren't green and blue as so I can expand my palette and work on the craft of subtlety, which I think is one of those lifelong pursuits that I'll never truly grasp or master. But I love subtlety, and I'm trying to balance that with the intensity, because a Ghibli painting, even if it's like a beautifully soft, peaceful meadow, there's like an intensity to it that I'm trying to tame within my own work.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that for sure. I mean, we're looking at this painting of this mountain right here, and I can see exactly that. So you've got, funnily enough, blue and green.
Yes.
But if you were to color pick those, they're not actually that intense.
No, I had to pull them back.
They're made to look more colorful because everything else is sort of you're hitting in those gray areas.
Yeah, I've been trying to really work on my gray game, because there's such like gray's the easiest thing to mess up. You either have mud or something flat, right? Something completely flat, or it's not working. So a lot of art that I think is really successfully done, not talking just about the lighting, but a nice painting can like really work in the neutral zone and make something like, I guess in a more classical sense, Anders Zorn is usually the one that comes to mind that can do that really well. But I'm trying to do like a little bit more colorful version of Anders Zorn work, because he's I think famous for only using like 4 or 5 tubes of paint.
In his portraits.
I'm going like a little beyond that, but I'm still practicing that pursuit of color and trying to experiment with that and try to say more with less. That's been the biggest thing.
That is the thing.
Right. I'm finding I have less and less time. So I'm trying to can I get a painting done in 2 hours, and can it, mean everything that I need it to mean without those itty bitty little details?
It's funny. I think that you don't think about paintings and then think about time as a main factor or element, but fast paintings make good paintings so long as they're also good paintings. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like everything you can do to make a painting more efficient. It's not just about time, though it is about time. It also happens to normally make a painting way better.
Yeah.
Simplifying, controlling things.
Because I think, no matter how complex of an image you're trying to work, structurally, it should fundamentally be simple.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing with students is they'll um, if there's a problem in the painting, it's basically a problem that should have been resolved in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And just piling detail, doing little things, you're just you're wasting time on a bad or a poor foundation.
Sure.
Wait, right? So it's all structurally. So structure in a painting doesn't take long to kind of get to sit right. You can always fuss with it, but yeah, like you said, like if you can just nail the structure of an image, it shouldn't take too long, and then you could just everything's just toppings and flavor on top of that. Even like I try not to look at the clock or focus on it too much, but I record a lot of what I do, and then sometimes I'm honestly shocked when I'm done. I'm like, wow, I feel like I just worked on this image, for like 4 hours or something, and I'll look at my timer, and it's only been like 90 minutes. I'm like, yeah, it's like I could have did a lot worse with that 90 minutes.
Absolutely.
It's 90 minutes well spent, so I'm really happy with that.
Cool. Well, we hit the 30-minute mark, so we're going to wrap up here in a minute. Is there anything that you've been thinking about or working towards?
Yeah, I've been thinking about a lot in that regard. I wish I could learn Blender with this whole time off thing. I want to learn it. It's free. They're constantly updating it, but it's been on my mind because I see people every day posting awesome little tools and techniques for Blender, and I'd love to get into that for my concept work. But
yes,
in regards to painting, I'm going to try some more character stuff this upcoming week, see how that goes, and then. Yeah, I'm not sure. I got a lot of. I want to do that environment course, but I'm still kind of working on the ideas or paintings for that and stuff too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's really cool. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. We got to do this again.
Yeah, I'm all down for doing this.
Awesome.
But everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining, and
thank you for watching.
We'll see you next time.
See you guys.